Hello. Okay, I'm early. I was supposed to wait a bit longer, but I have Instagram live for a long time. So I thought, happy birthday. The album. All right, this is not an announcement about the album. This is really about the show. And I won't be doing a show in San Francisco. And I wanted to talk to you guys and tell you what happened and why I'm not doing the show, because I very rarely cancel shows and or not turn up or whatever. So I wanted to talk about that, and I put my Fly Pirates shirt on so everyone can be happy. I haven't moved on from the Pirates. So, first of all, I want to say thanks to Golden Voice for giving me a slot and booking me on that festival. And, yeah, and I am sad I can't be there because, on the one hand, I want to turn up and have... I haven't been to San Francisco for a long time, and the LA show I had for Just Like Heaven ended up being really great. The people and, just seeing the fans for the first time after like years and years and years, and everybody who turned up to the show, like, thank you so much. But so the reason why I'm not going is because I did the Martyr shows in July in Europe, and also Just Like Heaven, which I kicked off, and I had a stage, and I had a cross on the stage, and that's nice. Someone said you don't have to explain, but I want to explain because I'm not actually explaining. I just want to tell you what happened because I'm not sick or anything, but I wanted to say that when I go out and do a show, it's not just that I turn up and do a show and it's just a party or whatever. Like, it's it's a whole thing. Like, it's part of what I'm into and what I'm about, and what I'm thinking about that time. And a Martyr album really made me think that I wanted to have a cross on the stage, and I have been talking about it already, about my time in I don't want to say Christianity because that is religion, but it's more than that. It's like my spiritual journey, and going from, the whole Matangi album to what Martyr means to me, even though it's the abbreviated version of Martyr. And Martyr means mother. I always thought the ultimate martyr on the planet is Jesus Christ, so it was very connected for me in that sense. And also the goddess Ma'at from the Egyptian culture and religion is also to do with like truth And it was really about that, you know, it's about how these ideas coexist throughout cultures and they pop up in different forms. And the meaning of Matangi and the meaning of Mart, and also the spirit of Jesus and him being martyred, it was all for the same thing, which was the truth. And so this was very important to me. But this time I chose to tour with a cross on the stage, and by the end of that tour run, I did like 10, 12 shows. And when I got off the stage, I think my last show was on a Sunday in Bilbao, and then on the Friday, I literally had an anaphylactic shock, which I never heard of before in my life. And I had to go into hospital. And so I didn't know what it was, and I've never really suffered any sort of allergies or anything like that in my life. But on a Friday, I went into hospital and I flatlined. And then they gave me adrenaline and brought me back. Then it was my birthday. And so it was a major thing. And a lot of people say, oh, did you see stuff? Like, did you travel to the other side and all of this stuff? And the answer is no. I didn't have any, like, visions and, you know, experience anything like that. But what I felt is that it was a bit of a conclusion to that tour cycle of carrying a cross around for a month, and then you end the cycle literally dead, and then you come back, and now I feel slightly different. And for 4 years I have been confused creatively because I don't want to abandon the fact that I'm a Tamil or have a Hindu background, and all of this stuff aids to my creativity. So, now I feel a lot more clearer and have more clarity, and feel like, I don't know, there's another stage to it all, which I don't quite know what it is yet, but I feel good. So it's not that, you know, anything happened to me health-wise, but I just do feel like I'm not ready to do shows right now. And yes, it was like a reset. And it's kind of interesting. It's made me think about the Bible, and basically after the resurrection, because this is like the point that it's almost like a version of that, you know. And it was my birthday on the 18th, and so what I do on stage and what I have on stage and what I make an album about and what I talk about, it's real, and it manifests in a way that I don't expect it, and I don't know how it will happen, but it happens. And whether I'm talking about censorship or WikiLeaks or the internet, you know, whatever the thing is, the economy or whatever, those things eventually come to light and become bigger themes in the mainstream. And so you have to be careful, and I have to be careful, and this is why you have to take the hits when people go, you know, you're not running with the trend, and you don't have like weird hairstyles right now, and you're not like manifesting what is cool to be, you know, and like dressing up as aliens or whatever. And for me, I have to think about the repercussions. And you're right, like I spent my time in discovering Christianity, and then got to experience the rebirth. And physically, I will do shows, but it needs to be a new thing. And also, I didn't want to put myself through, you know, intense stress organizing a show, because God, I haven't lived for a long time. So that is that. And I feel like the album has to come out as well, because it's been lived for 3 years. And I would like to, you know, I feel like I need to write another album. That's where I'm at. And I'd like to get this one out as soon as possible. So I don't often speak to the people at the label, my management, people who've even worked on this album, colleagues, peers, everybody, fans, friends, family. So it's just very not confusing, but it's difficult to straddle a lot of contradictions. So, Vanakkam, on the one side, so the Martyr album is part of, I think, wondering how you make all these things coexist. And it's not confusing. I feel a lot more clarity now. And I feel like, you know, what I always knew is that you have to be careful of what you say in your lyrics, and you have to, you know, be mindful of the lyrical content, but also the people that work on your content, and, you know, what the people you bring along with you, and who gets to contribute. And before, or even when I made this record, I wasn't being 100% purist, but I was doing that deliberately, because that is the way life is. And everything is made of, you know, even if you take Christianity or the Bible, you can't have one without the other. You can't have heaven without hell. You can't have hell without heaven. So to me, having contradictions is a very important thing, because it's actually more truthful and reflective of what life really is like. And spirituality, the same. It's not that you wake up and every day everything is there in front of you, easy explained, and you just live by that. It's not. It's a journey, and you have to go through it, and it's about the decisions you make. And sometimes as an artist you go through things, but the industry hasn't necessarily caught up to what that is, because the industry is in a different place, and it's okay. You can't wait around for them to understand. You just got to do what you do. And then the same with your team and the people around you. If they're not on the same level, you also can't wait around for them to go through their evolution process and understand things. So spirituality is a very individual, it's an individual experience, and not a collective experience. But making a record is a collective experience. And so this has always been the difficult bit, because not a lot of people care about art these days. It's true. So it's kind of interesting, because I was thinking about this today, because I was like, I don't know how to speak to you and talk about something so personal, because I'm better at talking about political situations than going into things super personal. So I would like to, after this album, completely make something 100% on my own. And not because I'm egotistical or a narcissist, but making a record, in a sense, because everyone keeps asking me about collaborations, making a record in an American way, where you have tons of collaborations and this, that, and the other, and 20,000 people making your record, it doesn't necessarily suit my work. And I really believe that. And I always knew that, because the first album I made didn't really have any collaborations. And I think I was right, and my instinct was right. And at that time, XL Records said the same thing to me, and they were right too. And when I collaborate with people, it just brings home the message that it's not based on the right things that I would want things to be about. And, you know, it often ends up about being like trendy, or being about money, and being about clout chasing and riding someone else's dick at the time, or, you know, and I think it's not necessary, and I think it can exist in all different ways. And really, I like Marta because of the contradictions, and it was a fight. For 3 years it's been a fight. It has not been easy. And the people who are involved in this record come from all walks of life and all types of beliefs. And, you know, some are purists and some might be considered pagans, some might be considered just human, you know, and haven't even been born into spiritual thinking, or, you know, got to that stage. So So, Mata means mother in many languages. And I'm wondering if that's because they say that Tamil is a base language to a lot of languages in the world. So something like 70% of languages in the world share Tamil words. And so the Queen Mother has passed away, and we're going into a new era. And like I said, for me, it's a word that combines Tamil, Sanskrit, Egyptian, and the spiritual space I was in when I made it. And so the next record, I want to talk about that. And I know it's unfair because you haven't even had this one. But I definitely will make another record. Usually I say I would never make another record, but I definitely want to make another record. Only in Spanish, Mata means kill, but Indonesian and I think Korean, I'm not sure, it means eyes. And various other positive things, but you know, the concept of kill is also a thing, especially if you're talking about death and rebirth. Something needs to die. yes, kill could be a right thing. So the fact that one language shares that is fine. But yes, the duality, that is the other thing as well, that the next record will be 100% made by just me, only because also having experienced a massive amount of clearance issues on this record, because I don't know why, but it's just happening. And it might be because I signed with Island, and it's the first record that's coming out on Island, and they treat things slightly different to when I was on Interscope. And some of you might even be saying, what are you doing on a major label? But I don't know if I said this before, but I signed to Island to put this record out because the person I signed with, he's called Darkers. And Darkers tried to sign me in 2004. And he was one of the first. And I didn't really sign with him and instead signed with XL. And the rest is history. But when I was out of the XL Interscope deal, I thought, why not go back to him? But then he left, and then Island had a different person and a different person and a different person and a different person. And the record, I guess, is just, it's just been sort of seen in different light, depending on who comes in to run Island. And so in the beginning, when I first started writing this record, the representation aspect of it was important. And, it was after the documentary, and it was what it was. And then, obviously, the spiritual aspect took over, and it wasn't like I could make something that was just like talking about representation alone, because that I have to be truthful or truthful to the fact that you can't just say this is one tiny group of people you're talking about, because my work has always been about unity and people coming together on things and humans finding common threads, no matter where they're from. And I think that is an important thing, and I didn't want to lose that. So I didn't want to reduce myself to just making like a South Asian record, or a thing like just talking about Tamil people. I don't want to see the world like that or live in a world like that, because spiritually it's just not like that. And I think once you've gone to a spiritual point, it's very difficult to come back. And I think if a group of people need attention and need their voices heard, that's fine to create the space for that. But to say that the entire world exists in these little pockets is very hard to say. When it's not really like that. So, spiritually, it doesn't really matter what vessel you're in or whereabouts on earth you are. And so through these 3 years, we've had three CEOs at Island. The entire economic system has collapsed and been reshuffled. Many spiritual wars, I'm sure, in that time that people have experienced. things happening. Humans are attacked on every fucking level. And no longer about your cultural identity and your identity politics, but really, even genetically, it's in the air what the fuck you are, because even genetically there's a reshuffle, and scientifically, environmentally, in every possible way, you know, agriculture, food, land, medical, science, banking system. What the fuck does any of that mean now, you know? So anyone hanging on to this sort of idea that my record needs to be this pure South Asian record is stupid, really, because where is this goalpost, you know? And so on that note, I was really happy to find out that you can tell people in the beginning of the tour that I saw Jesus, and to me it was very, very real. And that since I've had my career censored and shadow banned and fucked up my entire career because I say the truth, why not tell the truth on that as well, regarding, you know, this aspect of something that happened, and never mind the repercussion and the backlash or the questioning or the doubt, because it's not something that, you know, I'm afraid of or shy about. And so I did, and then by the end of that tour cycle, you know, I experienced it. So that just goes to show that something in that story in the Bible and something about that vision I had is real, because it happened in a very simple way, that I finished my last show on a Sunday, died on a Friday, and had my birthday on a Monday, just like it was Easter. And I was like, wow, even, like, you can't really, I couldn't have wrote that or predicted that. And it's just a frequency or a vibe that I tapped into, and it happened in real life, which then means something like that is true. There's something out there that operates in that way, and no matter who you are, where you are, what you are, that's just as real as everything else, right? So anyway, this is where I'm at, but it's not like after all this happened, I suddenly feel super religious, like I want to be a nun, or, you know, dedicate myself to the church, or like this is the bit that's confusing, because up to that point I was way more careful about what I ate and what I was doing, and you know, tried not to eat meat and wasn't doing things to, I don't know, counteract what you need to do as a human being in order to be in the spiritual space. Is you have to do things to keep yourself clean, I suppose, mentally and physically, and your breathing and these sort of things. And I was kind of doing that while I was on tour and just before the tour. And then afterwards, and after I came out of the hospital, I just ate everything and stopped meditating and just kind of been existing and not putting that pressure on myself. And so I just feel like, you know, it's not like I'm now going to be a nun, but it's just I had to prove to myself again that that was real. And anyway, so this is why I'm not doing the show. Thank you for watching. And I think the balance is key. And I do think that a lot of people are into new age stuff, and you know, and you can talk about the concept of manifestation, and maybe it's like something, you know, this is also why spirituality is an individualistic thing, because it's really about, you know, what you give your energy to. And if you give your energy to Jesus, then that's what you're gonna feel and tap into and be a part of. And if you give your energy to the opposite, then that's also what you will be a part of. And you know, that they say that you can't worship money and God at the same time. And being a musician in the music industry or being signed to a major label, it's a very weird dilemma, because on the one hand, you need the industry to put music out. On the other hand, you also want to maintain your own journey as an artist. And if you connect to fans, and if fans like you, and I feel like most of you guys have been with me for a long time, then it's inevitable you're going to make a bit of money. Like, I'm not super rich, but I'm not striving and struggling to be like super rich either. And at the same time, if you're political and you say things that other people don't like, you should be able to protect yourself financially to some extent, because that is how I've always been treated in the music industry, is to be economically sanctioned. If I say certain things that certain people don't like, and I do have enemies in high places. So the duality thing is an interesting thing, because in Hinduism you have to get past the duality to become one. And I think that's a very long journey to figure that out, you know? So on that note, Life is a paradox. It's a paradox, yeah, because you learn what you need to learn, you know, and this is another thing as well, is that life is different for everybody. So if you invest all your energy and time into whatever you want, that, say you like, give me a word, something you would put all your time and energy into manifesting and being about. And say, for example, you made shoes, and you made shoes all your life, and you really care about that, and the concept of everything you create around that, in the world, and the life, and the lifestyle, and the people, and everything you create around this thing is the exact thing within that environment. You will experience what you need to experience, whether it's the duality or the oneness, the heaven, the hell, you know, the confrontation, the solution. The world you're in is the world that you will be confronted with in any of these aspects. So as a musician, you know, music gives you a way to express yourself and be out there, be heard, and then change my life at the same time is through music, that you also experience, you know, to me, even my spiritual journey is done through my albums or my musical experience. So it's very difficult to remove that and say, oh, I'm going to go off and live in a monastery on a mountain, because it was through music as a vehicle that you were able to explore all of these paradoxes and contradictions. And so I think that's also a thing for people to learn, is that whatever you choose, whether you're a hairdresser or you're herding goats in Pakistan, or whether you're like, you know, the person who is out, I don't know, collecting rubbish or whatever, there's no difference in any of these environments if your interests are in spiritual exploration. If you're into spiritual exploration, it does not matter what you do, where you are, who you are, what town, and what your income is, any of these things. Because everything in the universe could be understood in that life that you have. And success and ambition and all of these things, it's like a different journey. And that's kind of all I have to say on what I've learnt so far with this experience that happened. So thank you for taking time out and listening to me. I will do shows 100%, but I think that I will definitely figure out in what shape, form these shows will be, that it's kind to you and kind to me. So, see you next time. Peace. Hope everyone has a great day today.